Many more coming up, and the next one do stay with us.
We are starting right from the big issues that have been trending for the last few days, and the latest twist to the saga of airplanes landing in Ghana with suspicious content is that the minority in parliament has written to the diplomatic community in Ghana to intervene in the ongoing controversy surrounding alleged suspicious flights from Gran Canaria that landed at the Kotoka International Airport. The minority says it wants the diplomatic community to support Ghanaian authorities to investigate the arrival of 2 Air Med flights and a Kavok air cargo flight that reportedly transported suspected illicit drugs and money into the country. Following the back and forth on the controversy surrounding the subject, the minority is asking for 5 specific interventions from the diplomatic community, and I'll take you through them. So the current diplomatic community is led by the Lebanese ambassador to Ghana, His Excellency Maha Kier, who is the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps. And these are the specifics that the minority is asking them to help the country with. First of all, they're asking that the Diplomatic Corps share intelligence on the aircrafts and flights involved with Ghanaian security authorities. They are also asking that they should help facilitate collaboration between foreign and Ghanaian security agencies in the ongoing and future investigations, assist the Ghanaian state, particularly Parliament, in safeguarding the country's reputation from becoming a drug transit point. And also, they want the Diplomatic Corps to urge the government to establish a commission of inquiry under Article 278 of the Constitution to probe the matter fully and impartially. And finally, they're asking for the Corps to show keen interest in the independence of Parliament and the safety of whistleblowers such as the Honourable John Intim Fojo and other MPs involved in oversight efforts. So these are the specifics that the minority are asking for. So on the back of that, they've written to the diplomatic community in Ghana and are asking them to intervene. Now already there are questions being asked, as in what exactly does the minority want regarding this? We'll try and get some answers to some of the questions many of you are asking.
In other news, to deport or not to deport, that is the question attracting mixed reaction. But convener of the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey, Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, insists deporting foreign nationals who engage in illegal mining is against the laws. According to him, foreigners engaged in Galamsey should be made to face the full rigors of the law here in Ghana before deportation. Evelyn Tinma has more.
We have resolved as a new policy that for 2 things, you in our forest, whether doing galamsey or cutting our trees unlawfully, getting yourself into fraud activities, for these 2 crimes, when we arrest any foreigner, we are not interested in prosecuting them. Our first option is to take them back to their country.
That is the Minister for the Interior, Muntaka Mohamed Mubarak, during a meeting in the Ashanti region. But his directive has not gone down well with the convener of the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey, Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe.
Specialized fast-track courts be set up to deal with these police people expeditiously. If you do that and you are on top of the police people, then you ensure that no police person will compromise himself when they arrest the foreigners. And then also the Chief Justice also doing her job to ensure that the judges also do not abuse our laws.
Dr. Ashigbe insists the directive is illegal and violates the laws, particularly the 2019 amendment of Act 995.
What he's doing is illegal. When that policy comes, some of us will go to court and throw it away. If he wants to amend the law, he should take a bill to Parliament, and we will debate that also there. Why would he want to be passing on his responsibilities to the people? As the law says that what you do is that you prosecute them. After you prosecute them, then you deport them. What guarantee we have that when they deport them, the Chinese would punish them. And there will be no legal basis for saying, why didn't you jail this person 3 years in China? Why, we will not have that.
He wants criminals involved in illegal mining to serve their sentences here in the country before considering deportation. Some have also argued that the deportation is not the way to go, citing the case of Chinese illegal miner Aisha Wang, who after deportation managed to re-enter the country and resume her illegal activities.
There's penalties and sanctions by the constitution should be meted out to them, which basically I think they should be prosecuted. Those who deserve to be deported should be deported.
Personally, I think they should be prosecuted. Just as when our nationals also go to other places, they are also prosecuted when they do certain things against those countries.
107 foreign nationals, including Chinese, who engaged in illegal mining have been deported since the new Interior Minister took office, with 17 more being processed. The Interior Ministry has meanwhile indicated that the policy is not to favor the foreigners, but to prevent abuse of the country's legal system and safeguard national interest. But some have argued that the policy contradicts President Mahamad's promise to deal ruthlessly with illegal miners, no matter their nationality or political affiliation.
Meanwhile, private legal practitioner Justice Abdullahi has condemned the proposal by Interior Minister to repatriate foreign nationals arrested for indulging in illegal mining. Justice Abdullahi intimated that the proposal, if enforced, will undermine and further erode the trust in Ghana's justice system.
This whole thing about sending people to their mother countries to be prosecuted, if need be, tends to send a wrong message that either we do not have a strong judicial system or law enforcement, or what we probably may call, strong systems to deal with such matters. And once you don't want to send that kind of message to the rest of the world. The person is not a diplomat. What is so unique about the circumstances of the person, such that having arrested him for committing a crime, destroying our environment, we need to send him back to his home country for any possible criminal proceedings that they may want to instigate against the person to be done. Why can't we do it here? Why can't we do our own prosecutions when the crime was committed here and it is our environment that has been destroyed, and not a Chinese environment? And not the Chinese government. So nothing has been done here that goes against the Chinese government. So why would we have to send their nationals there to be prosecuted? I think this whole thing raises too many questions, and it is in our collective interest that if these arrangements indeed exist, as we are hearing, we need to have the benefit of it and then properly interrogate it. But I would strongly recommend that in order not to erode the confidence we have in our justice delivery system, we do our own prosecution, we convict the person, we sentence the person.
Let's now go to the Labour front, and there have been mixed reactions as the Office of the President has with immediate effect suspended all post-retirement contract appointments for retired public service staff. This directive was contained in a letter dated April 2, 2025 and signed by the Secretary to the President, Dr. Callistus Mahama. Judith Brown reports.
It was a move hinted of by President John Dramani Mahama in his 2024 campaign period. At the time, he explained such an action would create between 50 to 70,000 jobs every year in the public services and local government service. On April 2, 2025, the Office of the President issued a letter suspending all post-retirement contract appointments for retired public service staff. Labour expert Austin Gami says the directive is a laudable one.
To me, it's a very, very good news, a very laudable policy, regardless of who is paying it, is for the good of the state called Ghana. When you have people working for between 25, 35 to 40 years, and they have reached 60, according to our constitution, they have to go on retirement from the public service. Even private sector people do the same. not as pronounced as public sector. We have overly abused that arrangement by hiding behind people with experience, people with age, so that they can remain in the place of work. And it's not even extended to everybody with this selection.
And he's not alone. Some senior citizens say the move is a step in the right direction.
Now the young ones, they don't have job to do. So if I'm 60, instead of me to go and relax, then I'm still taking the position, what about the young one? The law says 60, go pension. So it's not that your strength, how healthy you are, blocking chance of the young ones. This has lead some of these young ones now, something are drug addicts, because they don't have no work to do. So if I serve the nation for 60 years, I have to go home and relax.
It's good to go on pension after 60 years. For the younger ones to also come and enjoy what they also enjoyed first before they go to that age.
While this action aims to streamline the public sector workforce and help reduce costs associated with hiring retired employees on contract basis, it will possibly affect persons who may have acquired significant experience over their period of service. For instance, the newly appointed IGP will have to retire by end of year following the directive.
Is there somebody qualified enough to fill that particular vacancy? If there isn't, then the extension for me is fair. You understand? Because some of this thing they do here is technical. It's quite technical. If you are not into the government or the civil service process, you don't know. You see? And if you don't allow yourself to be trained right from the very beginning to the time you get to the top, it's another level. If you forcefully push the old man away and you don't fill the vacancy, it's another thing.
And so the question remains, does this directive stifle years of experience gained by some retired staff? For Austin Gami, retired public sector workers can equally make good use of their expertise in many other ways.
The President was very conscious of the fact that the IGP was nearing retirement. There are people in line in the police service now who must equally become IGP tomorrow. I'm sure the present IGP, the national security apparatus, would quickly look for among the people and start preparing somebody for the purpose of takeover. So as the present IGP with experience, when there is opportunity, he may serve on the other boards and related matters. If you are 50, get out and let others come in.
For now, the directive's impact on workforce dynamics and potential cost savings are yet to be fully assessed. Judith Brown, TV3 News.
Now, organized labor has urged President Mahama to conduct more extensive consultations prior to the rollout of the post-retirement directive. They argue that the current directive could lead to potential loss of experienced hands who have deep knowledge of the workings of the public and civil service.
651 of 2003 mandates that the retirement age for public sector workers is 60 years, with those in the mining sector required to retire at 55. Over the years, many public and civil service employees who reach retirement age have had their contracts extended to retain their expertise. In Ghana's public and civil services, over 700,000 workers are currently employed. Each year, more than 1,000 of them retire. However, recent developments have raised concerns as President John Dramani Mahama has issued a directive to suspend post-retirement employment. The directive has been met with discontent from some leaders of organized labor. The Secretary General of the Trade Union Congress, Joshua Ansah, has called on the presidency to clarify the reasoning behind this new directive.
The unemployment situation in this country is very dire, and maybe the youth are yearning for a job, and they think that if you have reached your retirement age, why do you still be in office? But like I said, yes, if you be a penny room, if you're a penny name, then you paper. I think that it should have been a process. There should have been a transition period or consultation or discussion before maybe that decision would have been made. But once that's made, let's see how it goes.
While the General Secretary of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, Thomas Tanko Musa, voiced concerns that the directive could negatively impact the retention of institutional memory in the public and civil service.
In Ghana, every 4 years, it is Mukwaya, ini Mukwaba. That's what we do in Ghana. Every 4 years, go and let somebody come. How do we build strong institutions? How do we have that organizational memory? So, in as much as I believe that when you get your retirement age, you must go, we must be careful taking into consideration the institution in question.
Both leaders have called for broader consultations on the matter to ensure a more inclusive and well-informed decision-making process.
For me, I always say that the development of this country is the hallmark for every Ghanaian. So whatever policies that may come that will help improve, develop the country, I'm for it. But any policy that comes and try to bring the development of this country down, I don't think you go for it. So let's see how it works for Ghana.
Technically speaking, the civil service and the public service, we are all supposed to be neutral, impartial, lawyer, anonymous, all that. Because at the end of the day, whether the policy succeeds or not, is the minister that takes full responsibility. Okay, and I think those of us in the public service and the civil service, we ought to be mindful and actually know some of this code that is guiding our work, so that we can have sanity in the space within which we are working on. Otherwise, it will not help us.
In more news tonight, President John Mahama and his Czech counterpart Petr Pavel have strongly condemned the tariff imposition on African countries by the United States, describing it as an affront to trade liberalization that should only have taken effect after negotiations. The Trump administration imposed tariffs between 10 and 46% on imports from African countries. The two presidents were speaking to the press following a 3-day state visit by the Czech president.
Ghana has had a long-standing relation with the Czech Republic since 1959. Trade relations between Ghana and the former Czechoslovakia nosedive with the overthrow of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. There's been efforts by Ghana to revive trade and investment ties between the two countries following state visit by President John Mahama in 2010. Ghana has been designated as one of the largest trading partners of the Czech Republic in sub-Saharan Africa. The balance of trade between the two countries has since been in favor of the Czech Republic, standing at some $22.32 million as of 2024. The Czech president, shortly after his arrival, held private discussions with John Mahama. The two shortly moved into bilateral meetings with ministers from both countries. The Czech Republic has invested in the health sector and infrastructure development with the building of some 50 bridges currently stalled as a result of the debt restructuring. President Mahama and his Czech counterpart, Petr Pavel, says they are hopeful work on the project will resume soon.
I urge our two countries to explore ways of re-engineering the project to complete the 50 bridges program and also implement the second phase of 100 bridges.
Despite some financial difficulties that your country is temporarily going through. And we believe that there is a great potential for extending our cooperation into the areas mentioned already by Mr. President. We are committed to extend that cooperation in areas that will bring benefit to both our countries.
The tariff impositions by the Trump administration received sharp criticisms from the two leaders.
We all accepted a rule-based trading system, and it has served the world well because it has led to quite significant growth in GDP across the world. It is unfortunate that without resorting to the rules-based system, one country unilaterally decides to increase tariffs across board on all countries. A multilateral world serves us all better than unilateral world, where people just take decisions based on only their country's interests. We must look at the broader global partnerships and the global interests rather than just our parochial national interests.
With regard to a number of African and Asian countries, especially those that belong amongst the poorest globally, like Lesotho or Cambodia and Laos, they are charged by the biggest tariffs in history. It could be easily destroying their economies. So I really think that we have to collectively address the United States to rethink this approach and to negotiate, because I believe only by negotiating we can achieve a result that will be both beneficial for the United States, balancing more their trade with the world.
The Czech leader, as part of his state visit, will hold business meetings and commission some health facilities.
The Vegetable Exporters and Producers Association of Ghana is calling for stronger intra-African trade to boost the continental harmony and prosperity. President of the association, Dr. Felix Maule Kamasa, argues that the imposition of the 10% tariff by the American government should prompt Ghana and other African governments to reinforce trade relations within the continent. Here's a report by Stanley Niblu.
Donald Trump on April 2, 2025, announced a unilateral tariff effective April 5, 2025 on imports from all countries into the United States. According to the executive order, the tariffs are being imposed under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977, citing economic and national security concerns linked to the country's global trade deficits. 10% tariff was imposed on Ghanaian produce exported to the American market. The Vegetable Exporters and Producers Association of Ghana, with membership exceeding 4,000, believes that the 10% tariff will increase their cost of doing business, especially as already existing export levies are heavily weighing down on their finances. President of the association, Dr. Felix Maule Kamasa, maintains that their members are now at a crossroads and may be forced to lay off workers in order to stay afloat.
We think that is going to affect in the industry. It's something we can't stop, but it's not going to help us to enhance what we are doing. Everybody knows Ghana exports a lot of yam, cocoa, cocoa powder, cocoa bean, and all those into U.S. market. Even cassava flour, our local gari. You know, most of African Caribbean, they eat our local, the same local food. So we are looking at it. It's not going to make our business to be attractive, and people are going to reduce the number of people they use because they use a lot of casual workers.
The association will this week engage the Ministry of Trade, Industry and Agribusiness to further negotiate with the American government for a possible reduction of the tariff. He, however, hinted at exploring alternative foreign markets should negotiations reach a stalemate. In the meantime, the association is pushing for strengthening trade among African countries. But what are the challenges hampering the continental trade?
I'll be saying this all the time, that this is just indication to us that African countries have to come together and be strong and believe what we produce here and consume what we eat. If we will do that, we can export to other sub-region in African region and look at our logistics system. I think it will enhance what we are doing. And we won't be there, somebody will just come and just send something to us which we are not ready for. As a country, we have to take our sub-region seriously and develop another market avenue for exporters to see how best we can able to trade among ourselves.
Executive Director of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana, Samson Asaki Awingobit, shares his perspective.
We have to take opportunity on the emerging market. We have to start exporting more into the China, the Chinese market. Then also we have to also take good opportunity on the African continental free trade. So I want to employ Ghana, the government, that there's a need for government to make a very vigorous negotiations and give us market opportunities. We need to do more market shows, market exhibitions in the country.
With the global market becoming increasingly unpredictable, the current tariff imposition serves as a wake-up call for African countries to reconsider their dependency on traditional trading partners. The urgency to bolster intra-African trade, invest in value addition, and streamline regional trade policies has never been more pressing. Stanley Niblew, TV3 News, Accra.
Meanwhile, the Trades Union Congress is urging government to allocate a stimulus package for local businesses to help mitigate the effect of the 10% tax imposed by the Trump administration. Without targeted investment, the TUC insists the country could face additional job losses. Secretary General of the TUC spoke with our Labour Affairs correspondent Daniel Opoku in Accra.
The Trump administration is moving forward with far-reaching implementation of tariffs across the globe. Countries like China are facing a 35% tax, while the European Union has been slapped with a 20% tariff. In Ghana, a 10% tax has been imposed on imported goods, sparking discontent among the public. The decision by the U.S. President Donald Trump has been met with resistance both globally and locally, including Ghana. Business-oriented Ghanaians are now concerned about how they will generate revenue from exports in the wake of these new tariffs. In response, the Trades Union Congress TUC has appealed to the government to engage with organized labor on the issue. TUC Secretary General Joshua Ansah has urged the government to consider investing in agriculture as a strategic response to the situation.
I think that this is the time government should support our local industry to produce more. This is the time government should give skill training to workers so that they can stand the test of time. This is the time our market should be open around our own borders so they can trade among ourselves. I can tell you, when Africans begin trading among ourselves, Americans will become jealous and they may relieve all the taxes and all this that have been imposed on the other countries.
He also emphasized the need for government to provide support to local businesses to help offset potential job losses.
Non-communicable diseases have become a major public health challenge globally, claiming millions of lives every year. Unlike infectious diseases, non-communicable diseases are not spread from person to person. Instead, they are often the result of a complex interplay of lifestyle choices, environmental factors, and genetic predispositions.
According to the World Health Organization, non-communicable diseases, NCDs, account for an estimated 41 million deaths annually, representing 71% of deaths worldwide. The burden of NCDs is high in low and middle-income countries where access to healthcare services is often limited. At a stakeholder meeting on NCDs, the Chief Program Officer of Allied Health at the Ministry of Health, Dr. Ignatius Awinibono, disclosed that the ministry is getting policies in place to support persons with NCDs.
The ministry has taken certain practical steps. Among them is getting a policy in place. Some of the practical steps that have been taken by this government is that they have brought the concept of the Mahama case, and that is simply aimed at ensuring that very chronic conditions like the cardiovascular disease, people in such situation can have their medical conditions catered for free.
National Coordinator for the Ghana Non-Communicable Diseases Alliance, Labram Musa, urged government to collaborate with all stakeholders to ensure issues of NCDs are addressed.
In Ghana, we feel there's a need for us to bring stakeholders together from all sectors, from the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Finance, Mental Health Authority, National Health Insurance Authority, civil society actors, and people living in a communicable disease. We shouldn't leave anybody behind when we are coming with policies. So in that spirit, we feel there's a need for that kind of collaboration, and government must collaborate with everyone and not leave everyone behind.
Advocate and peer trainer for Ghana NCD Alliance, Christopher Adbega, pleaded with the government for more funds to support persons with NCDs.
I'm happy about the decapitation of the health insurance, making sure that there's more funding for our needs. What we've experienced in the past is that it covers just the basic needs. When you are looking at dependency, when you're looking at medications that far exceed sometimes your salary even at the end of the month. You are then asking yourself questions. How do I fund this? How do I take care of myself? How long is it going to go? These are some of the questions we are looking at government addressing.
Prevention and control of NCDs require a multifaceted approach. By working together, the burden of NCDs can reduce to promote healthier lives for all.
So watching News 360 on TV3, stay with us. We'll be back with the latest in the world of business.
I love President Charcoal. Why? When there are so many other charcoal toothpaste. That's both charcoal and lemon. Oh, does it? Yes. Look right here.
Yes. President Charcoal has two of nature's powerful whitening ingredients. With the power of activated charcoal and lemon essence, it removes stains and whitens teeth naturally.
Convinced?
Well, I am. Just look at your beautiful Pepsodent smiles.
For naturally whiter teeth, Pepsodent Charcoal.
Why are more and more professionals choosing
zero carbon emissions by 2060, with 73.5% of Ghana's population under the age of 36 and 38.2% within the critical working age bracket of 15 to 35 years. The Strategic Youth Network for Development report stresses the importance of positioning young people at the center of energy transition efforts.
They need financial support for those who want to green businesses or some incentive to grow their business. They also need the right skills and capacity to be able to function when they get opportunity. They also want to participate in volunteerism, community engagement, so they can also educate their parents, to adjust or transition accordingly. So basically, it's all about sustainable jobs, and for rather the key thing.
Addressing financial sustainability, Executive Secretary of SYND, Chibeze Ezekiel, pointed to the diminishing foreign aid to Ghana and recommended the strategic allocation of oil revenues toward green energy projects.
We have been told that the minister has the discretion to decide where to invest our oil revenues. I know that we use part for the free national high school education, also for the agri sector. Perhaps we can start rethinking or recalibrating, making some of the grants or revenues available, for the renewable energy development, because that is our revenues.
Ghana requires over $550 billion to fully transition to green energy by 2026. A huge investment, but also a massive opportunity.
Away from that, the Bank of Ghana has issued a public warning regarding the misuse of its boxes meant for transporting currencies, citing concerns over potential threats to its credibility and operations. The caution comes after the national security operatives discovered several BOG currency boxes during a recent operation to uncover a counterfeiting ring at Sapeman, a suburb in Accra.
National security during a specialized operation at Sapeman in the West Municipality of Greater Accra uncovered fake cash-in boxes belonging to the Bank of Ghana. Director of Special Operations Richard Jakpa confirmed that the boxes were genuine BOG property. The central bank in a statement emphasized that the misuse of its branded property for criminal activities such as counterfeiting is a serious offense and must be thoroughly investigated and prosecuted. The statement further explains that while commercial banks may return the boxes empty to reuse them for non-currency related logistics, some individuals have obtained and reused the boxes for domestic or commercial purposes, including storage or general transport. The Bank of Ghana urged Ghanaians not to interpret the presence of its branded boxes as a sign of official sanction or involvement, emphasizing that a reused currency box does not carry the authority or endorsements of the nation's central bank. The Bank of Ghana called on law enforcement agencies to intervene and investigate the misuse of its currency transport boxes for criminal activities.
In more news tonight, Galamsey is gradually pushing Ghana to become a water-stressed country where the demand for water exceeds the available supply for both domestic and industrial use, with high cost implications. The Integrated Social Development Center, Asiedu, has called on government to prioritize investment in water and the fight against Galamsey.
While government invested $429.5 million in water in 2024, the estimated annual requirement to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) by 2030 is approximately $1.9 billion. Current allocation represents less than 1% of Ghana's gross domestic product (GDP). Increased investment in water has the potential of boosting the economy. Executive Director of Integrated Social Development Center, Asiedu, Sam Dartey, underscored the need for government to significantly increase its financial commitment.
If others are actually profiting from water by actually polluting our water bodies to make profit and move away with it, and others are actually being affected and infected by water because it's destroyed, I think the government should actually take a very serious approach towards addressing the issue of Galamsey as far as the pollution of water bodies is concerned.
There is intricate link between the water sector and the challenges posed by both illegal and legal mining activities. To address these interconnected issues, Coordinator of Africa Water Justice Network, Leonard Shankote, called for decisive action to remove illegal miners from mining sites to protect water sources safeguard legal mining operations, and preserve water quality for domestic and industrial use.
Profit interest that is driving people into forests, tree zones, into water bodies, and basically ravaging everything in their sight. It will take some very strategic, comprehensive solution which looks at what will be the alternative livelihoods for these people once they get out of the mining pits.
Let's now take a look at how the cedi is faring against major trading currencies and how some of our key commodities are faring on the global market. And that's how we wrap up the business segments on News 360. I am Minu Afo. Stay with us. Sports News is up next.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360 with me, Oreku Ampofo. We start off from the Black Queens, who wrapped up their training tour in Dakar with a 1-0 defeat to Senegal after a late goal by Hapatu Malado Diallo. The senior women's national team of Ghana had won the first encounter 3 days ago by the same scoreline after a goal by Evelyn Bedu. However, a heavily rotated Black Queen side couldn't hold on for a goalless draw and conceded in the 90th minute against Senegal. These were friendlies to help new coach Kimla Soikegren to prepare for the women's upcoming AFCON, which will take place in July and would be hosted in Morocco. To some more stories where the Minister of Sports and Recreation, Kofi Adams, has inaugurated a 7-member committee to investigate the death of late Nigerian boxer Gabriel Oluwasegun. The committee will be chaired by Ambassador Major Das RTD Amakoya Matefio, with Peter Zwenes, Eko Asma, Sami Bartels, Eddie Papo, Juliana Adiobo, and Martin Engman as members. The committee has been given 21 days to submit its findings to the ministry. My colleague Bileshen looks further with this following report.
The Nigerian Boxing Board of Control sent a letter dated 7th April to the Ministry of Sports and Recreation and the Ghana Boxing Authority seeking compensation for the Nigerian late boxer, that is Gabriel Oluwasegun Olarewaju, who died on Ghanaian soil following his bout at the Bukum Boxing Arena in late March. Now here is a narration of events from their perspective. 1. Gabriel was permitted to fight for the light heavyweight division. Now he weighed 85 kilograms, and that is the cruiserweight level. Also, on the day of weigh-in, no pre-fight medical was conducted on the boxer to ascertain his medical fitness. Now, the Nigerian Boxing Board of Control approved the boxer to fight on March 28th, but he fought on March 29th. And no discussion with the boxer was done to, in quote, throw the fight until he was already dressed at the venue of the fight. And in response, the Ministry of Sports and Recreation has set up a 7-member committee earlier on Tuesday to investigate this particular matter and present their findings to the Ministry of Sports and Recreation.
The ministry and by extension government is ready to collaborate and cooperate with you and to make sure that you do the work. And what gladdens my heart is that with this kind of cooperation and collaboration, you may finish your work even before the date set for you to submit your report, and that will enable us also implement the report as quickly as possible for the growth of our sport. We thank all of you.
Now here are their terms of reference. 1, to determine the circumstances leading to the death of the said boxer. 2, to determine if organizers took the necessary measures or adequate measures to prevent the death of this boxer. 3, to determine if authorities in Nigeria acted with due diligence. We also have 4, to examine the conduct of all officials during that fight. 5, recommend changes in technical and medical procedures for boxing bouts. 6, to consider any other terms relevant in the matter of hearing as well. Now, a lot of questions are left to be answered, and this situation will definitely be one to watch in the coming days.
Now, before we wrap up with the sports segment, just by way of update in the UEFA Champions League quarterfinals, the first 2 games being played tonight is first half done in those matches. Inter Milan lead through a goal from Lautaro Martinez in Germany. Very crucial goal for the current leaders of Serie A. And then in England, there's still stalemate between Arsenal and reigning champions Real Madrid. Well, you can get updates of these 2 games on our social media handles at 3 Sports. GH, my name is Oreku Ampofo.
Tonight in this segment, key stakeholders in the music industry have called for the National Theatre to be renamed after prominent Afro-rock band Osibisa to immortalize their memory. Ozo Arai has the rest of the story.
The question of whether or not Ghana honors the achievements of her stars and heroes well enough has come up strongly. In the realm of the arts, the exploits of acclaimed Afro-rock band Osibisa stand tall. Many have praised the group for captivating the world with their infectious rhythms, vibrant performances, and most importantly, placing Ghana on the world map through their extraordinary talent.
Apart from Kwame Nkrumah, Sajifo, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, followed by the Black Stars of Ghana, Osibisa is a group that puts Ghana on the world map. It's a group that projected Africa. Eja Kolimo stated in an interview that Teddy showed us the way. He saw Ghana so well that, you know, at a point in time, if you mentioned Osibisa, people say, okay, Ghana. I pray that President Mahama would look at Teddy Osei and say that, listen, beyond the musicians emulating someone like Teddy, we should have the whole nation study how somebody like that went out there to Europe and virtually conquered the whole globe.
Industry players have been unanimous in their call for the state to immortalize the legacy and memory of Osibisa.
Up till now, there is no Ghanaian musician or Ghanaian group that has gotten the exposure that Osibisa got. In my humble proposition, I think that we should be able to create an Osibisa memorial concert and lectures every year, so that the up-and-coming musicians can always go back to the archives to learn from what Osibisa did.
Other stakeholders shared a similar view.
Because it's something that has to be done. If you talk of national theatre, everybody knows that national, but there are people who have contributed to arts and things like that. So if it happens to be Osibisa National Theatre or things like that, it gives room for the up-and-coming also to know that these are the ones who contributed. It can't be like national theatre, that's all. There are people that have contributed. We have to name all these places to those that did contribute.
They did a lot of good things for Ghana, and like we're all hearing, they contributed those days £100,000, which will be about 4 million or 5 million Ghana cedis now to kickstart the National Theatre. So we think we should put Osibisa's name on National Theatre to make it Osibisa National Theatre, you know, so that anytime you hear the name, you remember Osibisa.
I think the appropriate thing to do to sort of immortalize the group, the National Theatre should be called Osibisa National Theatre.
Everybody do what you do.
Truly, Osibisa is a big brand Ghana can leverage on to push and promote our music. Still in entertainment though, it's time to show your support as a true fan. Help your favorite artist and song climb to the top of the voting chart in the 26th edition of the Telecel Ghana Music Awards. To cast your vote, simply dial *176, *1767 hash. *1767 hash on the Telecel network and enter your nominees codes.com to vote online. Don't miss out. Vote now and ensure that your voice is heard in selecting who becomes Ghana's Artist of the Year in other categories.
Coming up, international news.
Algeria and Mali banned flights to and from each other's airspace, their government said on Monday, amid an escalating diplomatic crisis. On April 1st, Algeria's defense ministry said the army had shot down an armed surveillance drone for violating the North African country's airspace. Mali disagreed, noting that its drone wreckage was found 9.5 kilometers south of their shared border. Algeria's foreign ministry data related to the incident showed a violation of Algerian airspace of 1.6 kilometers. It said it was banning flights to and from Mali due to recurrent violations of Algerian airspace. Mali's Transport and Infrastructure Ministry responded by announcing that it had closed its airspace to all Algerian aircraft due to Algeria's persistence in sponsoring international tourism without providing examples or evidence of such activity.
And that's how we bring the bulletin to an end. Thank you very much for watching. And before we go, though, at 9 p.m., you're going to be having Agenda. Beatrice Edu and her panelists will be discussing very pertinent national issues. I am Martin Asiedu Dartey.
And I am Portia Gabor. Good evening.